Okay, why don't we just look at the next paragraph according to the developed cosmology of Abhidhamma. Page 115. We just skip one paragraph on it. Yeah.
According to the developed cosmology of the Abhidhamma, samsara embraces 31 levels of realms of existence. That is, there are 31 basic classes of beings comprising the round of rebirth, and any being may be born at any one of these levels. See Table 2. Indeed, one should rather say that every being has...
It's okay. You skip the table first, and we can look at the table later.
During the course of his or her wandering through samsara, at some time or another been born in every one of these conditions apart. That is, from 5 realms known as the pure abodes. Beings born in these realms, such as the great Brahmas of the realm of the supreme gods just mentioned, have reached a condition in which they inevitably attain nirvana and so escape the round of rebirth. The most basic division of the 31 realms is threefold. First, there is the world of the 5 senses, Kamadhatu Loka, which comprises 11 realms ranging from the realms of hell and the hungry ghosts through the realms of animals, jealous gods, and human beings to the 6 realms to the lower gods. The common characteristic of being in all these realms is that they are all endowed with consciousness and 5 physical senses. Above this, there is the world of pure form, Rupa Dhatu Loka, which consists of 16 realms, the highest of which are the pure abodes just mentioned, occupied by various higher gods collectively known as Brahmas. Those refined beings have consciousness but only 2 senses, sight and hearing. Finally, there are the 4 realms of the formless world, Arupa Dhatu Loka, occupied by a further class of Brahmas who have only consciousness. These 31 realms from bottom to top thus reflect a basic movement from gross to subtle.
Okay, why don't we just finish the next 2 paragraphs? Do you want to start again? Yeah.
It is the lower levels of the universe, that is the world of the 5 senses, that arrange themselves into the various distinct world spheres, or Chakravadas.
No, chakra.
Chakravadas. At the center of a Chakravada is the great world mountain, Meru or Sinaru. This is surrounded by 7 concentric rings of mountains and seas. Beyond these mountains, in the 4 cardinal directions, are 4 continents. The southern continent,
Jambudvipa,
Jambudvipa, or the continent of the rose apple tree, is the continent inhabited by ordinary human beings. The southern part, below the towering abode of snows, Himalaya, is effectively India, the land where Buddhas arise. In the spaces between world spheres and below are various hells, while in the shadow of the slopes of the Mount Meru dwell the jealous gods called Asuras, expelled from the heaven of the 33 by its king Sakra, Pali-Saka. On the slopes of Mount Meru itself, and rising above its peak, are the 6 realms inhabited by the gods of the sense-sphere. A great Brahma of the lower realms of pure form may rule over 1,000 such world spheres, while Brahmas of higher realms of the form sphere are said to rule over 100,000.
All right, and the next paragraph, what determines
it in which realm a being is born? The short answer is karma. A being's intentional action of body, speech, and mind, whatever is done, said, or even just thought, with definite intention or volition. In general, thought with some qualification rebirth in the lower realm is considered to be the result of relatively unwholesome
akusala
or bad
baba
karma, while rebirth in the higher realm the result of relative wholesome
kusala
or good
punya
karma. Correspondingly, the lower the realm, the more unpleasant and unhappy one's condition. The higher the realm, the more pleasant, happy, and refined. one's condition. One should note, however, that this hierarchy does not constitute a simple ladder which one, as it were, climbs, passing out at the top into nirvana. In fact, nirvana may be obtained from any of the realms, from the human to the highest of the pure abode and the four formless realms, but not from the four lowest realms. Yet, rather than attaining nirvana, being generally rise and fall and rise through the various realms, now experiencing happiness, now experiencing happiness. This precisely is the nature of samsara, wandering from life to life with no particular direction or purpose.
All right, thank you. So, yes, any comment, questions, or what?
I actually have two. The first one is I couldn't help but notice that some people have tried to correspond physics to Buddhism. So we just know that's out there. And then when I was looking at the world of the five senses and thinking of our world today, obviously humans are in the five senses. But then you move to the world of pure form, and there's two senses, and it's sight and hearing. And my little laptop, you know, my little iPad can do that. I've got a little camera here, and I can say, hey Siri, can you do this for me, right? And so then at the top is just pure consciousness. And with artificial intelligence, moving to a sense of, is it intelligent like a person, and when do we develop this sense of consciousness that we are? What would Buddhism say about, say, my iPad getting a sense of consciousness about itself? Or is...
No, I don't know.
Let's skip that question. It cannot fly.
No, I mean, it's different. Is maybe, I mean, of course, I guess, but, you know, just make it say it that way. I cannot answer that way directly, but I can maybe say other way, maybe it helps you to think it differently. Like, it's believed that even in the, you know, we have divided into three, what do you call it? Translate is a three, well, I forgot translation here, what you use. Anyway, three classes, like, you know, one is the, with the sensual desire. Actually, the highest sensual desire, so-called like the heavens or the realms, the place, it's the being they have the male and female form, and they still have the so-called the sexual gratification, but they are different. Is they have a power. They can create anything individually. It's almost like if you were thinking of the science fiction, it's almost like now, like us in you know, like 20 years or 10 years ago, you can imagine that you could use a cell phone and you read so many information, for example, like that. It's almost like also nowadays they have newly invented a printer. Now, last time when I saw that, like, you know, if you have a so-called 3D kind of that, the sketch, and then they could really print out something like the 3D form, and you can use it also, even though it's, you know, I mean, imagine that like 20, 30 years ago, I mean, for normal people would not ever imagine that would happen. But actually that kind of idea, like, you know, a person can create everything they want to, even the food, that actually is in the heaven. Kind of like people, that's the highest. There are two places. One, anyway, the highest one is that they not only just they could transform their physical costume, everything. What kind of costume I wanted, just, you don't have to go for people to make for you, but you could just transform it. Even somehow believe that they are not only just can transform the costume, anything, even the house, they can transform any type they like to. That is still not in the heavens of what we call the pure, what do you call, the pure abode, not only, not pure abode. Pure abode, that not only just the heavens that, no. The answer you were just asking, they don't have what we call only the form, the form. So, and the form, you were saying that the form, yes, it said that the beings in the form, like the god called the Brahma, the Greek Brahma, actually they are the one who live in that the realms of the pure form, and the pure form, they don't have mouth, they don't have nose. Now, I want to say that when I say they don't have mouth, they don't have nose, and they don't have what do you call tongue. Yeah, they don't use, I mean, basically they don't have tongue, they don't eat, they don't smell. Okay, so that's why you say they only see and they can only hear. Actually, their communication always been conducted by mind. Even in the lower form of living realm, like I just mentioned, there were one. They have a tongue. They even have a mouth. They speak, but that is not the mean. They actually can communicate through mind to mind already. But the higher form, basically I think the tongue. When we refer, they don't have a tongue and a nose. We are not saying the physical appearance only per se. They might, yes, some of it. Some may look very strange, different. But some they do have a nose. It looks like kind of like they have nose and the mouth, but they don't eat.
No function.
No function. The body somehow could absorb the nutrition already, so they don't need that to eat in order to maintain the physical body. That's why it's called refined, and it's believed that those heavenly beings, anyway, they just only use mind to communicate. So I don't know whether that answers a certain question. But yes.
The question is like for example, he used his iPad as an example. So whether iPad could be qualified as a kind of sentient being according to his understanding, is that what you're asking?
More or less, if my iPad, I mean, they're trying to, the question of consciousness is coming up as artificial intelligence proves, like, people like Stephen Hawking, the theoretical physicist and everything. And, it's a really interesting question how you perceive that you are you. And it seems to me that that's one of the goals of Buddhism, is to achieve this pure sense of consciousness of being that is outside of a body. And it seems to me that that's where we're headed with increasing complexity of connections and data that is happening in our phones and iPads and networks that are popping up around the world.
No, I mean, I think that's a lot of things they showed already, even though the intelligence, maybe one day they might have the different answer, I don't know, but so far definitely they know. However, the intelligence they create, they still have no emotional, they have a logical thinking. Of course, like even, in the early time, there's a challenge, like they have invented intelligent kind of machine that you could play the chess with them, right? And that's why it's so important, crucial, but the best of the chess player, and to see whether he can win over the machine, so-called intelligent player. So yeah, but then definitely there's no emotion involved. The very unique thing about the human is, usually in Buddhism define a person as the being actually that involved in the emotional aspect, that we could have a creativity thinking, like it's not like just reading the data, but it's like, that's the reason why we can understand some abstract kind of concept, right? It's not only just figurative speech, but it can be abstract concepts. So, and that's what we define. If you talk about organism, organism is one thing, but what we call the sentient being is another thing. But the sentient beings, the Buddhist understanding is actually from long ago, even from a very beginner's lust. So there was being there already. I mean, so-called a kind of, that something can qualify as a being. It doesn't mean any kind of form it can be. It can be animal form, right? We just mentioned. Any type of form, very refined form. Even just only consciousness form, fine. But then some, like a machine robot, definitely, we don't take that, even though how advanced that would be, that it cannot be a beings. I don't know, maybe in billion years or what, after how many years, and then then the robot can start to have emotional, and exactly like a human we can be very bitchy, we can be really, and so forth, whatever, jealous or, and so forth, and then actually this kind of thing come from emotional first, and once you're emotional, then you start to think about, I need to save my life, and I need to protect myself, and I don't know. Then that time, how Buddhism look at it, because if I would, my imagination, I would say, you never know, because just like, if they can produce something new, but to produce something new, because the universe, unfortunately, this is my understanding, my understanding, the universe is not in a strict line. Like, if consciousness of the divine being die, say that this kind of material is allowable him to be born there. It could be born as a robot. That time the robot have emotional too. That's how I understand it.
So it's
Yeah.
because by definition of like the consciousness and karma and everything like that, it wouldn't be like a spontaneous. It has to come from somewhere else. So I guess by saying that the universe is non-linear or time is non-linear, that would allow for like the progression or the cycle to be anywhere, or is time linear, or is it just the universe for the different planes that's not linear?
No, but I mean the thing is, yeah, yes.
Oh no, for Buddhism.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it could be. Then it's the only difference is that the robot have the emotion. Actually, the robot is the being. But that's But even though I don't think now it could happen, it could be, because then it's about, because in Buddhist karma theory, it's not about limited to the human, to animals and so forth. It's actually, even in Buddhism, even though in general we say the plant doesn't have the life, not that they don't have organism, they don't have a life in a term, they would not they are not, consciousness would not really live it there. So when they die, they will have a karma and then they will reborn. But very strangely, actually in commentary, a certain type of plants they do, which believed to be very old and in a certain kind of plant. That it did mention very, very, very strangely. Even on the earth we are talking about. So in other words, the life form is, we are not only limited to what we call life in the form, but it's more like what they call the essence of the consciousness. Yeah. So as I say, if the karma that robot have such a complicated kind of thing that somehow that really can be equivalent to one universe, such a life, and it can connect, So, and that's, this is that's how I understand. Okay, okay. What about the second questions?
The second question was, I was comparing and contrasting Hinduism to Buddhism. There are a lot of the same terms, namely a Brahma, and the sense that there is a progression from a lower form of life that is undesirable to a higher form of life, which is something to be obtained or attained, and is an easier life, and that karma determines where you come into that strata of being, where we just heard that you can sort of jump all the way to nirvana. But how is that different than Hinduism?
It's different. Firstly, in general, understand the Brahma in Hinduism is the only God. But of course, in a different certain amount of time, they change the name. During the Buddha's time, they take Brahma, the name, as the only God. That's the reason why you have the priest called the Brahmin, because it's believed that, of course, they are the one who have the priority. When I say priority, in a sense, mean because they are the priest, so that they could be born back to the Brahma, because the Brahma is the one who created the universe, or even in Hinduism also talk about create the universe as well as the earth, right? So, but in Buddhism we do not. Firstly, we take the Brahma as a god that can rule the kind of different places, or you got the different area, you could say, or different kingdom or whatever, the realm of the place, but never be the only god. That's one of the big difference. And it's actually somehow it's interesting in Buddhism. Take that as not totally denying that they were God actually believe he's the only one, but like the Brahma, like the Greek Brahma in the first jhana, but there are also other Brahma in the higher realm of the place. And that definitely Hindu do not take that part, because then that would completely collapse his kind of theology system, theology, right? And the second is also in Hindu, just like you mentioned about nirvana or the nibbana, the same word. Well, there's a term from India, of course. You could say from origin Sanskrit as well. But nirvana to later on, but let me finish this one. Later on, in the Hindu, they take that as mean the nirvana mean anyway whatever you might be very similar to Buddhism, like you eradicate all your defilement, your anger, everything is gone. You become nice person, kind, blah blah blah. But then when you die, you reborn back to the Brahma world. But definitely no, because the Buddhism actually on the contrary think the Brahma, he think he is the eternal. He is not the eternal, because if you have a place in principle, when you are reborn, then you would bound to die. When you have a born, then you will die. Maybe the lifetime, that's why the chart later tell you, the lifetime is, they live the Brahma, like if you would be a Brahma, you can live billion years to the earth here. But you know what I'm saying, like, I always say that similarly, like, we think that, like nowadays, we think normal people can live about, say, 80 years old. We usually generally say 100 years old, right? And suddenly we find people just live 20 years, like say 50 years old. You say, oh, poor guy, 50 years old, die, right? But look about 10 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe 100 years ago. General, the people age is about 60 years old. Is called, if you can, 80 years old mean a long life, right? And a lot of people die because of birth, because of, moderation. And 40, 50 years old is fine, right? If the people die 10 years old, or 20 years old, pure guy. But if the people live up to 50, they say, not too bad, 50 years old. And especially in Africa in those days, look at it, if you look at the whole, when it's Africa, I mean, you look at that, take a lifespan. Well, okay, that's one other thing. So it's relative sense. Another thing is say about we can live 100 years old, and we look at I usually think about a butterfly only few days, and they fly so happy. That's their lifespan. They maybe have a little, we only half day gone. Maybe for them is mean. That time during the whole day is mean they are almost equivalent to our 20 years life. Right? So if we put them in, and 3, 4, 5 days they die, and they never thought, oh, why I have a short life, 3, 4, 5 days. But when we look at it, oh, wow, how that? So I want to say that, yes, we live 100 years and we think, okay, we'll die. But the same thing that the Buddhism believe, like the Hindu, they definitely think the Brahma is eternal. No, not the Buddhist concept completely, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, I think we have a little break now. Why don't, yeah. So say 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes break or what, yeah. You always refer to the good emotion and bad emotion. But I think from the term I use, emotion is mean you feel something is called emotion. You feel like or don't like, or either I don't know I'm like or I don't like. That's emotion, right? Yeah.
So in a way, like, so once you reach nirvana, you cease to have emotion.
No, they still have like and don't like. The Buddha know. If the Buddha don't know that, that's problem now. But the difference is that's a very complicated. A lot of people find it difficult. That he knows whether he like it, doesn't like it, but it would not carry the karma. That's the only difference. That's why the karma theory is really the huge topic. That's why the Buddha said very clearly, it's not about the like or dislike. It's because when there is a contact, then you do to have this kind of like or feeling. So then the Buddha is not without feeling. The Buddha has a feeling. But the Buddha, it's because cut off the ignorance and the feeling work differently.
So reaching nirvana is not ceasing emotions. It's
No, never
ceasing
use this word. Never.
your karma, which ceases your rebirth.
In other words, it ceases your karma to take you to the next not the next life.
Existence.
Yeah,
Karma doesn't work for me.
yeah.
Yes, you don't create karma.
You don't create karma.
Right.
So like, does that mean that karma, like, is only like, it doesn't accumulate almost? Because like everyone, the Buddha has lived for eons too, and if karma accumulates,
Yeah.
he wouldn't be able to just reach.
No, he need to
nirvana and don't
accumulate.
reborn.
That's why, as a bodhisattva, you need to accumulate karma. You need to accumulate good karma.
To
but-
cancel it out.
But to Arahant and Buddha, no.
That's like different belief systems.
No, it's all Buddhists say the same, but unfortunately people didn't learn it thoroughly. If you learn it thoroughly, the bodhisattva, they need to accumulate karma. That's why they talk about the parami. The parami actually is a good way to correct the karma.
So you need to accumulate enough karma for you to.
To be the one that nobody teach you, but you can be Buddha.
What about just an arahant?
Arahant don't accumulate
You
karma.
don't have to accumulate good karma to cancel out all the bad karmas you've had.
No, of course, because that's if you don't have a good karma, how can you practice? Right?
No, I also think that good karma doesn't cancel the negative karma. Because once you have a karma, it's a karma.
No, that's another story.
Oh.
But that's Abhidhamma question. Pali Buddhism never talk about that. It looks like Pali Buddhism does somehow think you could cancel your karma. That's why the Bupai Forjiao, the sectarian Buddhism, have a lot of argument. But your theory is not Pali, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
But the Sarvastivada definitely say that the way you say, but not the Pali Buddhism. Sarvastivada said true. Even bad karma you have created, it never been erased. You're just able to switch it off. That's it.
Right.
But that's not Pali. Pali Buddhism
Okay.
never have that.
So
Never.
Pali, you think that you can correct it?
You can actually eliminate. It somehow Pali looks like you can eliminate.
Okay.
But never talk about really explicitly. But very clearly in the Sarvastivada school, clearly there is no way you can eliminate. You can switch it off on it. It's kind of like you're able to make your bad karma inactive at all, dormant, and always kind of like no way to act.
Stay there.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't ever come back once you make.
No, you make it that way. Kind of like I don't know, you know,
like a
physical
debt
body we have.
forgiveness?
No. We're talking about even physical thing. You do like now certain medicine could able to cure that thing, but then it always die, kind of still. But it's still, just it would no way to make it alive again.
But isn't that contradictory to Buddhist stories of how before Buddha died he had this headache, and if he is one that accumulates such great good karma, why would he still have what we consider a bad karma?
No, it doesn't have bad karma, because the physical thing is you cannot change that one. When you're on the earth here, you're about to be you're subjugated to the earth law. And the earth law is that your physical get too old. And
So
if you
physical suffering, but doesn't mean mental
yeah,
suffering.
so if you poison him, he will get poisoned.
So that's the definition of a bad
No, I
karma.
think he experienced the result of his previous bad
Bad
karma.
karma.
That's the result, but he would
Right.
no longer create any more.
Right. I guess that's my
No,
question.
I don't want to say that is no. Yes, okay. Say your
There's
question
so many
first.
different kinds
Yes.
of karma.
Because in that sense, it feels like he is experiencing a physical bad karma.
No.
Though it's not
Firstly,
emotional.
I would never take it as a bad karma. That's your reading. That's let's say the Buddha had a back pain, right? And then even later on, before he died, he was have a diarrhea also. That's for sure. The food poison, so he have a diarrhea.
Yeah.
And you take that as a bad karma. I don't take that as a bad karma. I take that as that is what happening in our material body. in your body if you eat something that which is not,
But if someone has cancer today, you would say that's, I don't know. Yes, it's a physical, there's cause and effect, but it's the result of some sort of bad karma, right?
No. That's the thing. I don't call that as a bad karma.
What do you call
What is
it?
that?
It's just
Physical phenomenon.
No. Usually we understood as a bad karma more in the. Of course now we have a kind of like common language now, not in the Buddhist term. In the Buddhist term, I mean in earlier Buddhist term, when we say the bad karma is always associated with your mental state. But now we only say, okay, now say the unfortunate guy took on the wrong plan and then the plan fall, for example. And and so forth, and that's a bad karma. That is a modern term. When I say modern term, I mean it's not really a Buddhist term. So
do we understand it correct that the karma affects the mind, but not so much of the physical body?
Yeah. Say
Or
that.
the effect.
Let's say a person had a cancer, right? In Buddhist understanding, it's not about a bad karma. It's about karma. Okay. It's not about bad karma. How do you know that people, if they have a cancer, actually I want to die all the time. Now I die, and I got, let's say that he bought insurance, whatever, blah blah blah. I don't know. He have $1 billion because of that. He could give it to children. That's what he wanted to. He not necessarily. Of course, generally people feel sad, but I say that also there are people not 100%. You could have 0.111% that they're very happy that I got this now, and then he will die soon, and he got money, he got for that, blah blah blah, and that say so. That person don't tell it's a bad karma. I say, oh, good karma for me. What I'm looking for. I wanted to commit suicide already. Now I got this. Now I can have more money. And
Okay. So the definition
No.
of good or bad karma is the fact of mental state.
yeah, it's a bad karma if that person have the cancer in a physical body. Just like you don't say, oh, that person. And I mean, of course, that term is take it. I want to say when we read this thing, we have to look at the whole context. Like just now, the Brahma also. Now, since you asked a question, same thing. When you say about the word Brahma, sometimes the Brahma refer to the Buddha mean also. He's like a Brahma. So you don't just say because the Brahma mean he's referred to only that the first jhana, heaven, the one that believes he's a creator, Brahma. No, the Brahman, you have to look at the context. When you say Brahma, it could mean the Buddha, the Brahma can be mean, the Brahma also can be other heavens, Brahma. So same thing. When you look at the word karma also, like the bad karma, yes, in general term we do say, say a person was born in especially in 2,000 years ago, a person was born in a very really bad family, no money at all, it's a bad karma. But that not necessarily mean. It's just the term in the context. Just want to say a little bit unfortunate because he will limit his free will, his power, whatever.
But
Yeah.
didn't he get to that bad family because of the karma he accumulated?
Yeah, we talk about karma,
Right.
but
Are you saying that there's a difference between the common language, which, like in a situation of being born in a poor family is a bad karma, which is a common language.
yeah.
But in terms of Buddhism's language, an Abhidhamma term, that is not considered karma.
Yeah, because you will find usually when he said that, he will say, he was born there and then he was limited, he was suffering because he couldn't do this, he was that, he was beaten. That is a bad karma. So he always faced. So you not just because you only say that way, but when I say I would never, I mean in Sutra maybe there were one line like that, but when we read that line, we must understand the whole history. But my understanding is the whole concept is, of course, that not only just because say, oh, he was born in a poor family, so it's a bad karma. So that he did say in earlier times, say, oh, because that person will always do the bad thing. So that's why if he, still do not correct himself to have a good action, then he will be born in a bad family, so he had a bad karma. It's not only just because he was born there, he would definitely, these people born there, his mind become like very different kind of mind. He was like, and then definitely if that was the case, then how do you think that a person was born in a bad family, but he was always very happy? And ultimately because of the poor situation, and he realized that the life is what's the use, basically, say, in Buddhist context. And he thought, why don't I just become a monk and nun? I should live this kind of life so I can, because in old day, when you become a monk, you can leave your family. So you don't let your family control your life anymore, that you need to be like a slave. And actually you can strip off your word that socially people believe that you're a slave, like, and because you're a monk. And actually on the contrary, you know, that's what one of the questions very clearly the king asked the Buddha, what is it good to become a monk during the Buddha's time, that time? He said, think about that. You have a slave. He was under you, you know, and he was born as a slave, but then he became a monk. What do you do? Yeah, I had to worship him. First, I will leave him as being a slave because he wanted to be a monk. And then not only that, I would worship him. Don't say even what he say he worship. I say that he doesn't worship, but at least he could not. I say, okay, wash my feet, you know, wipe my ash. No, of course he would not do that anymore. So do you call that he's a slave? He was born there as a bad karma? In that case, no, of course not.
When you see somebody who is in a bad situation, as if he's under the karma, you cannot really say that he has a bad karma, because just looking at the circumstances at the point, it really is taking things out of context. In other words, you have a sequence in order to derive the final product of a bad karma.
Yeah.
So if you're just taking a situation, you really cannot say bad karma.
Yeah. That's why I don't say that. Like
it will always change, and you don't know if you're gonna be better because of.
Like a Buddha never say. If the Buddha say that, why he get poisoned, and he say that's a bad karma, it means Junda, the one who offered him the food, the one who created bad karma for him, right? No, actually the Buddha tell them, you should be happy about that, because you know, when I get this illness and I will be passed away, so then I will have a final liberation. Actually, Junda is doing a good thing. Not that he say good thing. Junda would deliberately want to poison him, of course.
But Junda will have cultivated bad karma.
No. Actually, no. Actually, according to Buddhism, he cultivated good karma.
Yeah.
Because for sure that he was not intentionally poisoning him, but he was really with his good mind that he offered the food, but somehow he got poisoned, the Buddha. No.
And also Buddha explained to him that he is not.
Yeah, he is not. So
by the token that if the person who actually suffered from your mistake, whatever, he really didn't think you are doing him.
Yeah, because he knew that he was intentional. He didn't poison him. He's not poison him. And on the contrary, very funny, according to Buddhist understanding, if he intentionally wanted to poison the Buddha, then the Buddha would know.
Yeah.
Because the Buddha can easily read the people's bad mind, maybe not a good mind. He doesn't want to read that, according to understand. Then he knew. So according to lots of stories, when people wanted to hurt him, he knew that already. So avoid that. Even nicely avoid. Never accuse, just nicely say, don't think I don't know what you're kind of trying to do. So, but that definitely is, he did it in a good way. So that give him the chance that, okay, I should go now. So that's what the difference of people who have the illness have a different way of thinking. That's, you know, okay.
So it almost feels like there's like the system of like mental, like positive or negative, which is karma, but almost feels like there's also this like physical world of like basically you're accumulating debt or wealth like by your actions, and like they'll come back to you, even though like your mind might be positive and you're having good karma in a bad situation, but the bad situation comes from this physical world of the result of your actions.
All the the result is all come from your mental action. The only difference is that, say that when you were born in the earth here, we have to limit ourselves in the earth. Say that's okay, maybe easier to say this. You maybe say now, you were born here, say that you might be, supposedly you in the past you do all the good deed. And this life, because times comes now, when the chance give it to you, that you can earn, you can be a billionaire. Say you can be a billionaire because in the past, you might be not a wise person, but you are a nice person in the past, okay? You're always helping, blah, 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 giving donation. Maybe you have a very different form of believing, whatever. But your action is always good. I mean, with a good heart, you help people. You're limited your wisdom, but then you at least you do the good thing. Then this life you're supposed to be can be a billionaire. But then suddenly somebody who have more powerful than you, like a king, I change the system. I'm a communist. I take all your money. So your wealth completely gone. Then you don't have a bad karma. Yes, in that term, actually your karma, being a rich people, never die. But you could say your freedom, the present time, physically the thing you've been stripped off because somebody is more powerful than you, because you don't live independently, they can take all the thing from you.
And the being rich karma never died means you're going to be.
That means that let's say your next time you reborn other place, you can be very rich again, because that what you accumulate is there. When the chances give it to you.
Sorry, what do you call the thing that you accumulate then? You accumulate something and that has a result, but the result.
No, but the result can be deterred by something else.
Right, but the result is not quite in our definition your karma, because karma is your
mental.
No. Not only that, your mental state. The mental state is very important, but the mental state, because there's so complicated when you talk about karma. The mental state, it's not just purely mental state. It's mental state can. Let me see. The mental state actually will change your
experience of the world.
You could say that way. Experience of the world.
Kind of like you're experiencing your past karma, a result of past karma, but like. When the bad thing happened to you doesn't necessarily mean it's bad karma in this instant, because in this instant you can have a good mentality. It's almost like it's a past thing versus present thing. Like right now you can feel happy about anything, but you're experiencing the result of your actions and your thoughts and your karma from the past.
Yeah.
Is that a fair way to explain it?
Maybe best to say that. In Buddhism, everything what we experience now is past. Okay.
Yeah. So, is there any concept of good versus bad karma, or it sounds like everything is just karma?
No, that's why in Buddhism, when you practice a higher level, there's no so-called good and bad karma. That is very higher level. That's even emptiness talk that way too. No. It's usually the bad and good. There's a bad called wholesome and unwholesome. That you learn the term. But when you say the karma, that is it's a very tricky way to say. For the wisdom part, there's no such called good and bad karma. But for the conventional language or conventional understanding, but that definitely.
Average practitioner, right? Yeah. That's not enlightened. We have what we experience as good and bad karma.
For example, I don't want to say it. We should go back to the book. We can discuss that more, because I like to talk more that. But then I'm sure that if we come back something related to ask the same question again. Okay. Shall we back to the book first? Yeah. So.
Okay. It is easy to conclude that
cosmology and psychology, macrocosm and microcosm. Yeah.